Hey everyone, how's it going? So, just wanted to make a quick video showing how I'm going to install the Bootmod Flex Sensor Kit. I've got the one that goes on the fuel hat underneath the back seat. I noticed there weren't a whole lot of videos on it, so I figured I'd make one, show you how I do it, and hopefully it helps someone out. The first thing I'm going to do, before I turn the battery off or anything like that, is I'm going to pop out this trim piece right here, and then the one in front of it, and then move the seat forward, and then I'm going to pull the back seat out and then disconnect the battery. So the reason I'm doing this before pulling the battery out is this seat is a power seat and it moves on its own, and it needs the power to do that, I believe. So if I need to move the seat back and forth while I'm taking this trim piece out, or that one, or even the back seat, I want to be able to do that without having to go back to the back and disconnect the battery. So I should probably use a trim tool, but I'm going to try to do it just using my hands and pop the clips off. So I'm going onto the side closest to the seat here, and there was one near the seat belt, it felt like, or that might have just been clearing the seat belt itself. I'm going to go up towards the back. Doesn't really feel like there's any there, so I think the only clips are going to be along this rail here, most likely. Hopefully they're popping out like they should and not breaking. I don't want to put too much force on it. Okay, so it looks like I probably should have popped this back one out here and then slid it this way around the clips. But looks like they all came out okay. None of them are broke, so that's good. I'm gonna go put this out of the way. So I got the kick panel taken out there. I'm gonna do the one that's up here towards the front of the car. Hopefully I can do it without just getting a video of my butt in your face, but we'll see. I don't know if I bumped that in my pocket or if it's because I'm messing with this down by the body control module. I think that's what it's called. Alright, so back in here, this is on the passenger side, down under the glove box, is where I'm going to have to tap into the wiring harness. So I got that ready to go. I'm going to pull the back seat out. Alright, so this seat's a little different than the videos I've seen for the M4 Competition, because there's actually 3 clips holding the front of the seat down. You just got to reach in. One's on each corner, and then you got one right in the center. You just reach in and you pull up, and they'll pop loose. And then the back, you kind of bring the front up, pull it forward, and keep raising the front, almost like in a C shape. And then the seat will slide out. If you got heated seats back there, make sure you disconnect any wires connected to that. So these are what the clips look like. The seat just kind of, the clip on the seat just kind of slides over it like that. You just pop it off of each one of these three. And you got the front loose, and then the back just kind of slides up underneath there. So now I'm going to disconnect the negative battery terminal. And before I do that, I'm going to tuck a rag into this latch here on the trunk. That way if the wind blows and shuts the trunk, or I walk away and someone comes by, I don't have to wrestle to try to get into the back of the car with the battery dead to get it connected. So I'm going to roll the windows down before I disconnect the battery. That way I can open the doors if I need to. Alright, so I got the rag tucked up in here. That way the trunk doesn't accidentally close on me. So now I'm going to disconnect the negative battery terminal. Now that the battery terminal is disconnected, I should be safe to unplug any connectors that I need to. So the fuel hat's going to be right about under here. You can see this bump. You can actually, it's probably the hoses coming in, or the wiring harness right there. So pull this up a little bit. I should have taken this panel off too, but I'm going to try to do it without taking that panel off. Try to get this carpet out of your way. So the fuel hat's going to be under here. Just counterclockwise turn. Now you're at the top of your fuel pump. You're not going to be able to see much from there. So after you turn this counterclockwise, you just pull it up. That's what it looks like under there. So you're going to have to disconnect this connector and this connector here. So on this bigger one, the clip's slightly different. It's got this lock on it, this red lock. You got to pull that up, and then you can push down this gray part of the tab to disconnect it. So here's what it looks like. So now it's going to seem a little counterintuitive, but I'm going to hook the battery back up now that I've got the fuel pumps disconnected. So what I'm going to end up doing is starting the car and letting it run to get the pressure out of the fuel line. Should only run for a little bit though. So it ran out of fuel without the pump being plugged in. So I'm just going to come back here, re-disconnect the battery. Alright, so I'm going to disconnect this fuel line by squeezing these tabs on the side. I believe you just squeeze it and it should come up, but I may have to mess with it for a second. But I'm going to squeeze those and pull it up. I got a rag here. That way if any fuel spills out, I've got the rag there to catch it. Well, even though I let it run until it stopped, I even started it a second time. Apparently there's still a lot of pressure in that line. So I do not know how to prevent that. I thought letting it run for a second and dying would take care of it. Apparently not. So it sprayed pretty good. Hopefully it didn't tear up my interior. I know it's gonna stink like crazy in here. I also got it down in this electrical connection, so that's pretty bad. Dang. Man, I don't even know how I'm gonna dry that out of there. It really sucks. Oh well. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. See, I got a little bit of fuel down in here now. Hopefully that evaporates kind of on its own. I'm going to try to get a small towel and get it down in there and get it out. But I'll be back in a little bit. So here's the flex fuel unit. I'm sure you know what it looks like if you're watching this video. Basically it's just a connection. Goes into the sensor itself. It analyzes whatever it needs to analyze. And then it comes out. Try to get it focused on this. Of course it won't. But then it comes out this end right here and goes back into your factory fuel line. So basically I think it's supposed to sit somewhat like this underneath there, just on the bottom side. I think you turn the this fuel fitting counterclockwise. So if turn that counterclockwise, it's going to put it right about here, which will probably make it a little tight for those. So I'll have to mess with it a little bit and see where it kind of fits in there the best. Alright, so this is kind of looking at it at the angle from the back of the passenger seat. I think this is how it's going to have to go. I turned this fitting about 90 degrees counterclockwise, and then I connected the inlet hose here. Hopefully there's enough room for me to get these two connectors on and the fuel hat to come back down. But now I got to figure out where to plug in the wiring harness. Alright, I got to get this connector basically through here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop it off, make a little slit in it, and then pass it through. So here's kind of how I have everything loosely hooked up. I'm going to try to rotate this just a little bit so there's a little more room for this cover to go on. But I'm going to push this down, pull the slack out from this wire, get it lined up with this notch, and yeah, then we'll move on. Alright, so here's how I got it going. Here's that wire coming out. Kind of looped it around the harness that's here, and I ran it under this little thing so it's protected a little bit from the seat. And I'm going to run it alongside where this wire is. I'm going to put my connection up in here. I just kind of bundled this up for now. Eventually I'll probably get some double side or some heavy duty Velcro and Velcro it in there somewhere so it's not rattling around. But for now I'm just going to tuck it up behind there. Maybe. I might have to pop this little, whatever this thing is, off to get the module in there. So I ended up just kind of turning this down that way to get that module down in there. So I'm going to tuck the wire right there. Now I'm going to run this wire and tuck it up underneath all this stuff. I just realized I got a little ahead of myself. I forgot to check for leaks. So I'm going to have to go back, hook the battery back up, start the car, let it run for a little bit, and make sure that there's no fuel leaks in here. Alright, so I got it started and showing the fuel level. So I'm going to go back there and check for leaks. Nothing there. I'm gonna let it run for a little bit, make sure it builds up pressure and there's no issues. Might even give it a couple of revs just to make sure nothing's happening. Alright, so I revved it up, let it run for quite a while. Pretty much did everything except go out and drive it. Not seeing any leaks in there. I don't feel any leaks. I don't think I smell anything, but I did spray some gas in there, so could be a little mistake in there. But I'm going to put this back on. Let's see. Might need 2 hands for it. Oh, got it. So got that back on. Now I'm going to tuck this wire up underneath this trim piece and run it up towards the front of the car. Alright, so I got the wire coming from out of that hat, kind of around there. It goes in to this little hole here, and then I tuck the rest of the wire up under this, run it along towards the front of the car, making sure that I'm not pinching it. Now, I'm going to put it here. One of the things you're going to have to pay attention to is you're going to have to route it behind the seat belt. I'd be pretty embarrassed if I missed that one. But I'm just going to tuck it down here out of the way. And it should be pretty safe. I'm going to try to take some of these loops out of it too, so I'm going to need both hands. Alright, so you can see it running here, down underneath this metal. Kind of going under the carpet here. Just got it laid in there. The only spot I'm kind of worried about is right here where it crosses back over the wiring harness. Might be a little tight. I think everything else should button up nice and fine. It's going to go up in here. I'm just going to have to figure out where I'm going to bundle the slack. I'll probably pull that back and tuck it up in here. But I'm going to go set my seat back again, and then I'm going to disconnect the battery again. Something I didn't see in the other install videos was this piece here. It kind of sits up under the dash like this. So to get it disconnected, on either side there's these 2 little screws kind of near the corner of the glove box. You just turn those counterclockwise and then you can wiggle it out, but be careful, there's a light here. So I just unplugged it. There's a little tab. I just pushed on it with my little hook tool. Pushed it down in. Let's see. Yeah. So there's this little hole here. I just push this kind of down in there to release this wiring harness here from it. Pulled it out. It's pretty easy. So that gives you a little more room to move this carpet here and get to this. Also on the other videos, I didn't see this outside piece, so hopefully I can get to all the connectors I need to. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to hold the light and show you, but there's this label up there. You see that purple one? You might be able to read it. It says Con 6. To the left of that is a white one that says Con 7. To the left of the white one, Con 8. And then left of the black one is Con 9. So those correspond to these right there. It's going to be hard for me to hold the light and camera. But the one on the end here, that's the white one. That's Con 7. And then as you go to the left, you got the black one, Con 8. Left of that is the blue Con 9. So what you want to do is you want to pull out that Con 7. So this connector, it sits in there. This little green piece actually is flipped up. To release it, there's these 2 white tabs. You squeeze those in, and then you can kind of pull this one back. As you pull it out, it disconnects. What you want to do is slide out this black connector right here. Right there. You got a gray one on top and then a black one on the bottom. You want to slide this black one out, and that's where you're going to slide the boot mode harness into. Okay, so what you want to do is there's a little locking tab. You want to push that down, kind of push it forward, and that'll allow you to slide this one out. Another thing I did is this piece right here. It's kind of in a little hole back here. I just pulled it up real slow, worked it up, so I didn't damage it too much, so it'll go back in. I gotta try to pay attention to how this is in there. I'm not sure if it only goes in one way or not. Hopefully that means that slides in this way.
Camera's at 6%.
Charge?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is the outside end. So to tell where the how it goes in, this is that little locking tab. So that'll line up with this hole right here. You just slide it in. Oops. I thought you just slid it in. Yeah, I guess you're just sliding it in. You're gonna have some slack hanging out the sides here. Push it in. If you're having a little trouble getting this thing to unlock, you can also kind of pull at it from this side. But I wouldn't pull too much because I wouldn't want to crack this. So then you take this side, and it connects to, so let me get this out of the way, the piece you disconnected. So this goes here. Well, let's see, can you tell? There we go. Which side was the side that slid out? I'm going to say it was this one. So I think these two sides kind of look the same, so I'm going to connect them together. Although, let's see, I think these are numbered. So I got 19 here, 36 there. And on this side, I got no numbers. So on here, I got a 2 on this side. And then 19 and 36. Well, so I'd imagine 18 is just on top of 36 here. So hopefully I get this right. Carefully seat them. Kind of looks like it's misaligned. I'm gonna try the other way. See if that looks better. Man, I don't know. I do not know. I'm gonna have to do some research. Alright, so what I ended up doing was I switched it around, kind of second guessing myself, but I got this yellow wire on the same side of the harness as these yellow wires here. Not sure if that's right, but I guess I'll find out when I go to start the car. And then these indents are on opposite sides. I don't know if that's the way it's supposed to be or not, but man, I really don't think it is, because this says 19 here and this says 19 on this end. But the problem is, if I flip it, then 19 is going to be on the opposite side of the board. So I got 1 here and then 2 here. So I got no idea. Guess I'll find out if I start it and my car blows up. So you got to pull this out. What I ended up doing was I slid this in and rotated it kind of towards the back of the car, and it popped loose. Looks like there's 2 clips like that. So see if I can get it with the second one. Now that you're watching, it's probably not going to work. It didn't really click, it just kind of slid out. So now I got to go in and get connector 3. I got to find out where that's at. Alright, so connector 3 is what we got to get to. There's kind of like this bluish green one and then a more green one. So it's this second green one. Hopefully I can get that tab down while holding this back. So you just flip that down like that. I don't know if you saw what I did, but there we go. So, well, that doesn't look right. So I'm gonna have to double check. Okay, so this is the right one. On my car, it's showing a blue harness here and a brown harness there. And it looks like pin number 1 is going to be on the bottom right of this blue one. So I got to pop that out and then pop the wire out of there. Alright, so what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to push on the backside here with this screwdriver to get it to slide out. While at the same time, I'm going to use this tool to just kind of pry this part open a little bit. Hopefully I can get it to come out without snapping anything. There we go.
Kind of looks like one of your GoPro batteries.
So the problem is there's not a whole lot of room with this tape here to be able to slide this out. But I think I only need to get it out a little bit to get to this wire number 1, which is this bottom right one. So it's the solid green. So hopefully I can do this without snapping it. Okay, so this pin is in here like that. And what I did was I used this little hook tool. I'm sure there's a better tool for it. But I just kind of push down right in here. And at the same time, pull this wire out. So now, what I got to do is replace it with this red wire here. So this is the female end on here. Let's see if I can find. Yep, there's the locking tab. So I'm going to slide that in to the same port. Push it until it clicks. And once it clicks, I'm going to find how to line this up. So it looks like there's 2 arrows. I'm going to try to line those up. Hopefully that's right. Yep. And then just push that together. Hopefully that's right. And hopefully it's okay without any tape on it. Or does this tape? No, that goes there. So I ended up having to slide this all the way out of there, but there was enough room. So hopefully I can get it back in there. It was just a little tighter than the last one. So it clicked right in. So now I gotta put this connector. Oh man.
What?
I did all that on the outside of this. So I'm just gonna unplug this so I can pass it through, because I think that'll be a little easier. Alright, so to check the ethanol content with the new ethanol sensor, I just hold this down to the first little click there. And then if you watch the RPMs, when I click it down and hold it, it jumps up to 1. So that's showing me that I got 10% ethanol in the tank, which is accurate because I just have regular pump fuel. I haven't put any extra ethanol in. So if I had 20% ethanol blend, it would go up to the 2 when I press down on it, or if I had 30% and so on. So it seems to be working as it should. So I'll probably go out and do a test drive and see, but if there's nothing else with it, I'll wrap it up here and let you guys go. So trying to get these pieces lined up with the trim piece was a little more difficult than I thought, so I ended up pulling them out. I just kind of turned them counterclockwise and kind of rocked them back and forth, and they popped right out.